Good morning to worship here at Hively on this wonderful, not warm, but sunny Sunday morning. Will you join me in the call to worship? We come to worship with expectations that may or may not be met, with questions that may be answered, answers that might be questioned. Come seeking God, seeking a taste of truth, seeking a glimpse of divine presence, seeking to make sense of the world. Come to journey with Jesus. And allow ourselves to be disarmed and inspired, moved and confused by the Spirit of Christ among us and within us. Let us worship God. Ed, will you come and lead this morning singing?
I invite you to stand together. You're able, number 29. And number 365.
Praise.
come to that time in the service where we remember that the Prince of Peace has called us to be peacemakers alongside of his work. We remember today and every day of each week that the difficult work of being peace is laid on our shoulders. We do this work with the support of our community, with an awareness of the history of the Anabaptist witness throughout centuries going back, and of the desperate need for peacemakers in today's world. Will you join me in our litany of remembrance of our calling as peacemakers? God of peace, Christ of peace, Spirit of peace, you are calling us to be peacemakers. Today we light this candle as a reminder of our calling. Trish Hotberger and Beth Suderman will have our Readers Theater this morning.
Here, Mike. Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. What are you doing, Jesus? Put that back. Here, let me.
No, I've got it.
But you
You just go sit. Okay.
Okay, you say so. Whoa. No way, Jesus. Are you trying to wash my feet? I should wash your feet, and that would be an honor for me.
Peter,
Even John the Baptist said he was not worthy to untie your sandals, right? I should
Peter,
be-
let me do this.
But it's not.
You don't understand what I'm doing now, but later you will understand.
No, you can't wash my feet. You're the one.
Unless I wash your feet, you won't have a place with me.
Then don't just wash my feet. Wash my hands and my head too. And
Those who have bathed need only to have their feet washed. They're completely clean, and you will be too. Please, sit.
you're right, Jesus. I don't understand. I don't understand.
That's okay.
It's probably okay.
Jesus took a towel and he girded himself. Then he washed my feet. Yes, he washed my feet. Jesus took a basin and he knelt himself down. And he washed, yes, he washed my feet. The heavens are the Lord's and the earth is his. The clouds are his chariot, glory his cloak. He made the mountains with the the limits of the sea, and he stooped and washed my feet. The feast was near. Jesus loved his own, loved him to the end. Oh Lord, let me see, let me understand what I stooped and washed my feet. Jesus took a towel and he girded himself. Then he washed my feet. Yes, he washed my feet. Jesus took a basin and he knelt himself down. And he washed, yes, he washed my feet. Jesus came to Peter. Peter said to him, do you wash my feet, Lord? Do you wash my feet? Jesus knelt down, but Peter cried out, Lord, you'll never wash my feet. Jesus said to Peter, don't you understand? If you want to be mine, I must wash your feet. Then not just my feet, but my head and my hands. Oh Lord, I want to be yours. Jesus took a towel and he girded himself. Then he washed my feet. Yes, he washed my feet. Jesus took a basin and he knelt himself down. And he washed, yes, he washed my feet. Do you know, little children, what I've done for you? You call me Master and you call me Lord. If I am your Master and if I am your Lord, then what I've done you must do. Now friends, let's be glad, let our joy be full, for God is love and he abides in us. He washed our feet, he washes them still, when we do what he once did. Jesus took a towel and he girded himself. Then he washed my feet. Yes, he washed my feet. Jesus took a basin and he knelt himself down. And he washed, yes, he washed my feet.
Thank you, Kay. Receive these words from the confession poem from Leader Resources. Jesus, you don't always act the way we expect, the way that seems right and proper and reasonable and wise. We understand a little bit how Peter was feeling. In our confusion, and perhaps feeling slightly offended, we too may say, I'm sorry, God, what? We may say, no way, never. But you are persistent. You remind us that we don't have to understand everything right now. You invite us to simply take off our sandals and experience your love, scandalous as it may be.
141. 141, we will sing the refrain twice. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. And renew a right spirit within me.
Mary Klassen, will you come up for the children's time? And the children too, yes.
Good morning. You've probably noticed what a beautiful day we have outside today. Can you still see some snow out there? Just a few piles of snow, right? I was surprised the other morning. I woke up and there was no snow. And last Sunday, we had a whole bunch of fresh snow. So the warm weather is coming. So I want you to imagine a beautiful day. We don't have to imagine it. It kind of is here today. But imagine a lovely spring day. The snow is melting. The ground is getting warmer. The grass is getting green. And then let's imagine a church. And this church is almost like Hively, right? You've got a sanctuary, you've got a long hallway and doors at each end, and then another long hallway with some more doors. You can imagine that, right? Now, the kids in this church love to race back and forth down the hall. Not just back and forth down the hall. They like to run outside on the playground, around and come in the door, down the hall, out the door, back around through the playground, sometimes through the sanctuary, and then sometimes through that other long hall by the classrooms. Now, one Sunday, that church was having a carry-in lunch, and there was a little extra time between the Sunday school and the lunchtime, and so the kids were doing this. They were running around and outside and back in and outside. And one of the bigger guys named Ryan was running, trying to weave his way in between all the people in the hallway, and he almost stumbled over a woman who was kneeling down on the floor. Her name was Helen. And he stopped just in time, and he kind of dodged around her, and then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you." And then he noticed what she was doing. She had a rag, and she was wiping muddy footprints off the floor. And Ryan said, "You don't have to do that. There's a janitor. The janitor will clean that. That's not your job." She said, "But the janitor doesn't work on Sundays. And I like the church to look nice. Maybe we'll have some guests for our lunch today, and we want it to look nice. I don't mind doing a little bit of work just to help everybody else." And Ryan said, "But that doesn't make sense." And he looked down the hall. There were muddy footprints going this way. And there were muddy footprints going this way, and some of them were just the size of his shoes. Ryan said, "Well, at least you don't have to wipe up my footprints." And Helen said, "Well, if you want to help, you can go in the kitchen and ask for a cloth, and they'll give you a cloth. You can come and help." And that's what Ryan did. He got a cloth, he got it wet, and he started kneeling down right next to Helen and wiping up muddy footprints. Well, the rest of the kids were still racing back and forth until they noticed that Ryan had stopped. He said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm cleaning up our mess. Can't you tell?" And the other kids all went to the kitchen, and they got rags, and they started wiping up the footprints too. And Sierra, one of the bigger girls, had the little ones sit down so that she could wipe off the bottom of their shoes to keep more mud from spreading around through the church. And then they kind of had a contest. Who could find the most muddy footprints to clean up? Now, our Bible story today is about Jesus washing the disciples' feet. You saw that kind of here in the Reader's Theater, and we'll hear the Bible story too. Do you know why they washed feet a lot in the Bible times? Okay, most people had to walk. They didn't have cars, of course. Most people didn't even have donkeys or some animal to ride. Most people had to walk, and they wore sandals because they didn't have very much really cold weather there. And in their homes, they didn't sit on chairs, not even to eat a meal. They would maybe sit on some cushions on the floor and have a low table. So if you were eating your meal, you wouldn't want muddy footprints around your table where you're sitting, or even underneath where you're sitting. So the kind thing to do when you had a guest come to your house was to wash their feet first. And then everybody felt good and the house stayed clean. And so one day Jesus did that for his disciples. And you know, some of the disciples weren't sure about that. Because here, Jesus was their teacher. He was their leader. And yet Jesus did that job that was one of the dirtiest jobs to do. And he did it because he cared about the disciples, and he wanted to show them that he didn't think he was more important than anybody else. And maybe that's something that Helen and Ryan and Sierra and some of the other kids learned in that church that we imagined. They're not better than anybody else, and we can each take care of each other and take care of our own messes sometimes, right? Okay, let's pray. God, we are so glad that the Bible has this story about Jesus washing feet. We don't always understand exactly why he did that, but maybe we can learn a lesson here. Help us to always be ready to take care of others, to clean up after ourselves, to help each other feel good and to feel welcome. We thank you for that story, and may it always help us to be the kind of people you want us to be. Amen. Thank you.
This morning's scripture text is from John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17, and I will be reading from the New Revised Standard Updated Edition translation. Now, before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil had already decided that Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, would betray Jesus. And during supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, got up from supper, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who bathes does not need to wash except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean, although not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After Jesus had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had reclined again, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example, that you should also do as I have done for you. Very truly I tell you, slaves are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them."
I'll be reading the same passage in French, and I know many of you won't understand it, but maybe take this time to ponder us as part of a worldwide community of faith. C'est le dernier jour avant la fête de Pâques. Jésus sait que le grand moment arrive pour lui. Il doit quitter ce monde et aller auprès du Père. Il a toujours aimé ses amis qui sont dans le monde, et il les aime jusqu'au bout. Jésus et ses disciples prennent le repas du soir. L'esprit du mal a déjà mis dans le cœur de Judas, le fils de Simon Iscariote, l'intention de livrer Jésus. Mais Jésus est venu de Dieu, et il va auprès de Dieu. Jésus sait cela, et il sait aussi que le Père a tout mis dans ses mains. Pendant le repas, il se lève, il enlève son vêtement de dessous, et il prend un linge pour le serrer autour de sa taille. Ensuite, il verse de l'eau dans une cuvette. Il se met à laver les pieds de ses disciples et à les essuyer avec le linge qu'il a autour de la taille. Il arrive près de Simon-Pierre qui lui dit, « Toi, Seigneur, tu veux me laver les pieds ?» Jésus lui répond, « Maintenant, tu ne sais pas ce que je fais, mais tu comprendras plus tard. » Pierre lui dit, « Non, tu ne me laveras jamais les pieds. » Jésus lui dit, « Si je ne te lave pas les pieds, tu ne pourras pas être avec moi. » Simon-Pierre lui dit, « Alors, Seigneur, ne me lave pas seulement les pieds, mais aussi les mains et la tête. » Jésus lui répond, « Celui qui s'est baigné n'a pas besoin de se laver, sauf le pied. En fait, il est propre tout entier. Il est pur. Vous êtes purs, mais pas tous. » Jésus sait qui va le livrer. C'est pourquoi il dit, « Vous n'êtes pas tous purs. » Quand Jésus a fini de laver les pieds de ses disciples, il remet son vêtement et il s'assoit. Il leur dit, « Est-ce que vous comprenez ce que je vous ai fait? Vous m'appelez maître et seigneur, et vous avez raison, je suis maître et seigneur. Alors si moi, le seigneur et le maître, je vous ai lavé les pieds, vous aussi, vous devez laver les pieds les uns aux autres. Je vous ai donné un exemple. Ce que je vous ai fait, faites-le vous aussi. Oui, je vous le dis, c'est la vérité. La serviteur n'est pas plus important que son maître. L'envoyé n'est pas plus important que celui qui l'envoie. Maintenant, vous savez tout cela. Vous serez heureux si vous les faites.
Conrad, will you await the words God gives you today?
Heard an interesting podcast this morning. It's an old podcast, but it was replayed. I don't know if it was Radio Lab or something like that, but it had to do with anesthesia. And our friend Chris has just experienced anesthesia. He's doing well, by the way. And 100 years ago, a man ran into the operating room where they were preparing to do surgery like normal, with a lot of kicking and screaming. 6 people holding you down while you were operated on because the pain was so great. This man came in and said, "Wait, I've got a solution." And the doctor halted the scalpel, applied ether for the first time on a patient that he had ever experienced. And the patient calmed down, quieted, and the surgery went on from there. And for 100 years, this has been used, but not knowing why it worked, not knowing how this worked. And so some explorations were done, and it was understood that anesthesia can be applied to a point where one side of the brain doesn't talk to the other side. And once you interrupt that cycle, the brain is not aware of pain. And everything quiets down. There's an interesting little podcast about how the brain is aware of things or not aware, and how sometimes we do things we don't understand how they work, why they're effective, but we still just are kind of get content with them. I've been wrestling with this sermon as usual, but how does it, in a day where we can't trust what we hear, where excuses are given for going to war that this is not true. We're being lied to. We know we're being lied to, but the lie is so consistent across the whole field of news because of who is owning the newscasts and news source and requiring the people at the microphone to say certain things. And so we are living in an age we don't know, or we're not hearing the truth. And we have to seek, we have to pursue it, we have to dig into it. And read between lines sometimes, see with our own eyes sometimes, stand up and speak the truth at great risk at times. What did Jesus know going into this meal with his disciples? It says, and John lists a lot of things. He knew that his time was near. He knew that there would be betrayal, denial, that there would be suffering and fear. He knew that this was Jerusalem. It was the time approaching a Passover. It was that big festival season. He knew that the authorities were threatened by him. That recent miracle back at Bethany that we heard about last week was a turning point in their active pursuit of his death. It is better that one should die for the nation, was their rationale. He knew that he still had some time. He still had some teaching that he could do. He knew that he loved these people that he had gathered together as disciples. Knowing that his time was near, Jesus enters Jerusalem. He has asked his disciples to gather for a meal, to sit down together. A customary kind of procedure for them, I'm sure, to gather. It doesn't mention any families. It doesn't mention that they were, in John's case, it doesn't really say they were gathering for the Passover meal, but they're gathering at the time that Passover was about to begin. He's gathered them in the city of cities, the holy city, Jerusalem. He's gone deliberately to a place where he knows he's threatened. He's probably not welcome. The end is coming. It's a time, the gathering time is a significant time in the story of the people, a time when they celebrate their deliverance from slavery. And it also comes during a time of great expectation that Messiah would soon appear. These are all part of the things that he's aware of. He knows he's part of this picture. And knowing his time is near, he still proceeds into this. And during the course of the meal, he takes on the role of a servant, a slave even, if you want to use that language. Washing the feet of a person who was beneath you violated the social order in a way we probably don't quite understand. The same culture. To slap a person with the left hand was much more shameful and offensive than to slap them with the right. To show the feet of yourself, to sit and show your feet toward another person was a sign of great disrespect and shaming. To eat with the wrong hand was shameful practice. See, we don't quite get into that picture. We don't live that way so much in our culture. But for Jesus to stoop at the feet of someone else and wash their feet was not part of the custom. A house owner would not wash the feet of their guests. They might provide water and towel to clean up and let them wash their own feet. If they were wealthy enough to have servants, the servant would do that. But the householder would not. The owner would not. The host of the meal, that was no. And then for a teacher, a rabbi, one that they've declared themselves to be the Son of God, to be Messiah, for him to offer or ask them to lift their feet so that he could wash them is just akin to asking somebody to shame you, ask to be disrespected. And this was much more than Peter was willing to accept. Have you ever resisted someone's offer to help you? I see the smiles. Let me wash your clothes. Let me clean your house. Could I make a meal for you? Here, let me tie your shoes. Could I give you transportation to an appointment? Could I help you pay that bill, fund that activity? And how many of us are going to say very quickly, that's okay, I got it, I'm good, I don't need your help. We don't say it, no, we don't say that. We say, thank you very much, I'm okay. But inside, sometimes we're probably going, no way do I want you. Somehow we have, that's what comes through, I think, how it resists. I don't need to accept that offer. Okay? We're just like Peter. We speak of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples as an act of servanthood. It's taught that way, to be a servant leader. It's set as a model for how pastors are to behave in the role of a church. It's part of seminary conversations in classes about what's the role of the pastor in the congregation. How do you view yourself? What position do you take? What are you willing to do? And the encouragement is to be humble and ready to serve in the most basic of ways. But we might want to pay attention what we are asking of others in that process. Aren't there parts of our lives that we like to keep on the ground, kind of covered up, out of sight? Places that we don't want observed. And so we keep them hidden, covered up. And Jesus touches this when he says to Peter, you are clean, but not all of you. You are clean, but not all of you. Unless I wash your feet. I wonder about the places that we do like to keep hidden and out of sight. We go through that ritual when we clean up for our house guests. Right? Whoosh, suddenly the place is clean. Things that we'd had conveniently located on our countertop are put away nicely or thrown away or sent to the depot. It's amazing. We can't even stand somebody to come into our homes for a meal that we've invited to them without cleaning the place. Jesus says, not all of you are clean. And you can hear that two ways. Is he talking about Judas? Is he talking about the individual, Peter himself? We hear him letting Peter know that there are things that need to be cleaned up in his own life, and Jesus is willing to do that. See, that's the piece that I remember kind of stumbling into this and realizing Jesus walks into this environment, this time period, and he is including people like Peter and Judas at that meal. They were not perfect people. They were not going to stand by him. They were going to tremble in fear, running and hiding. They were going to be at each other's throats. They were going to be doubting the testimony of the women who come back from the grave and say, he's risen. This all was going to be happening. And they are still invited to this meal together with Jesus at this significant time. Jesus seems to know that his time is just about up, and there would be such betrayals and denials from this very group of people. Yet he serves them in spite of their resistance, in spite of the plotting that's going on around him, in spite of the coming sufferings and confusion. He continues on the path set out before him, knowing that this was the will of his Father, knowing that he was with the Father in this. Knowing of these betrayals and continuing to teach, serve, and minister in spite of that has been an example of Jesus for me, as when I said I stumbled into that at some point in my life. I don't remember when it was. Just the recognition of how difficult that would be to intentionally invite people you knew would turn their backs, or worse, offer you up to the authorities. How could he do that? It was not just humility or servanthood, but a boldness to continue in spite of opposition, difficulties, suffering. In spite of that, to continue on in the face of such a life. What's next? What you know is probably going to happen. And Jesus offers to clean all of us. Peter ended up trusting this offer. Peter ended up becoming the rock on which I will build this church. Peter became a leader in the churches. Judas continued on his path, agreeing with the authorities that he would reveal Jesus' location. He was certain, perhaps, that things would work out better. If he just put Jesus on the spot, on the line, Jesus would do the right thing and step forward as the king and Messiah, the leader. We don't know. But what it does say is that he was broken by what actually occurred and took his own life. Jesus included both of these at the meal. The door was still open to both. Would it have changed the intent of the authorities had Jesus said, "Wash me too, Lord, all of me," and repented? I doubt it. I think the authorities would have done what they were going to do and had put in their hearts to do. But Judas participates in that and doesn't accept what Jesus was offering to him in that moment. The people who were changed were those who accepted the offensiveness of Jesus. Okay? The ones who were changed accepted that Jesus was asking something of them that was pretty offensive, making them do things that they recoiled at a basic level of society. And I invite you to think of some things that you recoil at, just normally. You find yourself just stepping back from. I can't do that. There's any number of things. I can think of several illustrations in my life. Jesus asks us to step into that, to participate in that somehow, and wash us in the process. Those who accepted that came to know him as Lord, Savior, Messiah, and spoke of this to the world that was around them. They took with them his way of being with and among the world as teachers, as servants, as prophets. His model before them created a people with changed attitudes who took the message of Christ to all peoples, unashamed, forgiven, and ready to serve people that did not know him in difficult and oppressive times. I had a document here I was debating reading, and I had just learned of it. I had read the original document, and a reissue of it has come out. It's called the Kairos document. It comes out of the Palestinian Christian community. And I invite you to read it sometime. I have no business trying to read. It's a lengthy document. It's been a Model 2. A revision has been made recently. And that was being shared by Mennonite Church USA to pastors and churches for consideration. And just think about this. Again, in essence, it's basically a call of the Palestinian Christian community to be the church, to stand and recognize the lies that are being told, the oppression that's being served up, that is part of their lives as Christians in the state of Israel. And I invite you to look at that. But I'm not going to. It's just one of the ways in which we are actively today being told, are asked to participate along with or understand what people are facing. The topic of reparations is another top place where we are invited to participate in things that we might recoil from in some form. There are other places in relationship to immigration that we might find ourselves recognizing this is a difficult place. And for some, for us to participate would be considered offensive. Some of our own family, if we brought it up at the mealtime together, would cause ridicule, anger to surface. This teaching that we have here is not just about washing feet. It's about modeling what does it mean to be Christ-like in difficult, dangerous times, and to continue to move forward as the kingdom has called us.
In response, let's turn to number 778. 778. Will you let me? I'm glad you do. You're willing and able to stand.
Let you be
Just a little bit before coming into the worship service this morning, I saw on Facebook, Chris posted a progress report, picture of himself with a neck brace on in a hospital bed. And I replied to him, I said, "Hey, Chris, what a flattering photo." Aren't you lucky we don't have the computers and screens hooked up? I'd share it right today. He's in relatively good spirits. Of course, he's under pain meds yet, but and he has 3 weeks of recovery. For those of you that haven't heard, his spine at the base of the neck, which is where quadriplegia kicks in. Okay, if you're injured there, you're quadriplegic. And that bone structure was deteriorating, pinching the nerve, and so they've rebuilt it with his own bones and stuff. I don't know how. It's scary just to talk about it to me. But he's survived that step so far and progressing at this point. 3 weeks off work, I believe. Some steps are being made to get meals ready and participate in what they need. Other sharing.